Very powerful. At this moment, I would like to invite Professor Heather Neal. She is an associate professor here at the School of Health and Kinesiology. She is someone that earlier shared the lifestyle, the wellness lifestyle that our Creator has given us. She is someone who is very eager to share this message, and that's something I really enjoyed about her presentation, that she has a passion for sharing this message, and it's such a beautiful thing to see when you see someone passionate about their craft or the ability that God has given them. So at this moment, I'd like to invite Professor Neal to the stage.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be with you this afternoon or evening. It's a lovely Sabbath day that God has blessed us with. We've had rest, but we've had awe, right? I appreciate that word you were just saying. Indeed, creation is awesome, and how God has created us to work and the beauty that He has made in us to thrive with the gifts that He's given us is truly awesome to me. And I'm excited to share that with you. So this afternoon, I want to talk to you about creation life. Used to be creation health. You can see that the PowerPoint still says health. They're in the process of transforming that into the creation life. This is Advent Health's program, and I'm very excited to share it with you this afternoon. So when we talk about creation, God gave us fullness. He gave us fullness of joy at creation and fullness of everything that we could have at creation. So He wants us to live with fullness in our life. And creation is an acronym of choice, rest, environment, activity, trust, interpersonal relationship, outlook, and nutrition. And all of those components were given to us at creation. And here's a short video that will talk about that and the principles that are in it. Oh, it's not playing. Can you help me with that? It's on YouTube. Maybe are we able to bring it up later if it's not going to work right now? Now it's stuck. Sorry. There we go.
Socially content. It's about fulfilling your God-given potential through your unique traits and overcoming challenges along the way. Advent Health expresses this timeless philosophy as creation life. Creation is an acronym representing 8 principles found in the Bible's story of creation: choice, rest, environment, activity, trust in God, interpersonal relationships, outlook, and nutrition. National Geographic explorer Dan Buettner, along with a group of scientists, searched the world to find blue zones, places where people live the longest. Their goal was to determine the reasons for their longevity. One of these blue zones is Loma Linda, California, home to the highest concentration of Seventh-day Adventists in North America. Residents there live, on average, as much as 10 years longer than other Americans. They credit those years to practices aligned with the creation life philosophy, celebrating a weekly Sabbath, spending time with friends, choosing an active lifestyle, and eating a plant-based diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and nuts. These creation life principles are changing lives throughout the world, often through the influence of hospitals, churches, and schools. The many resources, classes, media, and curriculum have been translated into more than 10 languages and are designed to teach and inspire people to make small changes that lead to big changes in their lives. Whether you call it a pathway, a framework, a philosophy, or even a journey, Creation Life's timeless biblical principles restore life and help you live whole.
Thank you.
Living
Indeed, they are timeless. They were created at creation. We can live them now. And when we get to heaven, we'll be able to live them out as God gave them to us at creation. As I shared this morning, again, in our world, many times we see things that encourage us to live in ways that are opposing God's way of living. And these ways don't give us the blessings that God can give us. And it's amazing to see when we apply and obey what God tells us in his word, how we can feel so much better. I want to share a testimony here to begin with. As they said, I'm very interested in the immune system. I would say I tended to have a weak immune system. My mother was quite ill much of her life, and I used to get sick. Anytime anybody would get sick around me, pretty much I was going to get sick. And you know how that is with many things. People go into things that will bless themselves. And I have to testify that I've learned so many things about the immune system and about taking care of my health that in the last year, it's been amazing how I have been much stronger and my health has been significantly better after applying those principles. And so many of them are simple, they're easy, and they are such a blessing when I'm able to use them. God's desire for us is to be in health, in perfect health. Just as our souls prosper, he wants us to prosper in our health. And as you can see, the gentleman's quite excited there, 10 years extra, and that's an awesome thing. But what I like about those 10 years is they're 10 years of energy, right? Of vitality, of feeling good, of being active. And that's one of the best things that I think living the creation lifestyle is because you have abundant years and you feel good. You feel like you could jump up and down just like that. Christ came to give us abundant life, and one of the best things he did when he came was he gave us his example. If you look at Christ's life in the Bible, he treated people with respect. He loved abundantly. He exercised a lot. There's people that have looked at his life and they believe that he walked on average 20 miles a day. He enjoyed nature. You notice that he tried to stay out in nature a lot. And so it's a joy for me to look at Christ's life and find that. So let's look at the first part of the acronym, choice. You are what you choose. And it's amazing how many choices we have every day. Little choices can add up to big differences. Which direction are your choices taking you? Sometimes we don't think about the end result and we don't look at where that is going to take us, but it's important to think about the bigger picture and the direction that we're going with those choices. Indeed, we were blessed with the gift of choice at creation, and that's one of God's biggest gifts to us. This is an interesting study that I'd like to share with you. It was a group that was in nursing home, and what they did was they gave a certain amount of the people choice, and the other ones, they pretty much decided things for them. And there were things simple like you can choose which movie you're going to go to. You can choose whether you have an omelet or you have scrambled eggs. You can choose which plant that you'd like to take care of. And these other people, on the other hand, had all those choices made for them. Now, this is at the end of our life, and so maybe those choices are heightened, but you can see what they found. The groups with choice and control were more active, they were happier, and that was measured by several scales. And what they noticed was fewer in the group died during the 18-month study. Now, I think today, many times we have too many choices. Would you agree with that? We are challenged by overload of choices. But it is important for us to back up and see that fundamentally, choice is empowering to our health. To have that choice is very important. And so sometimes it's good to narrow it down, but that was a beautiful gift that God gave us. Well, sometimes we make choices that affect us negatively. Would you agree? I'm sure all of us just last week can think about things that we did and we suffered the consequences of that. But the good news is God will always be there to help us. No matter what path we're on or what direction we're going right now with our health and wellness, God says to us, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you, and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. God emulates what we want to be, and he wants to help us become more like him day by day. And I want to encourage you with this. You are one choice away from living a better life. I encourage you to change directions if you're going the way that you don't want to go, and make that one choice to a better life today. So rest is the next part of creation health, a calm that refreshes you. God gives us amazing rest in so many different ways. We have rest through the Sabbath, like today. We have rest at night. Sometimes we take a nap, or we're able to relax and listen to the birds sing and go outside and enjoy nature. There's lots of ways that we can rest. And I want to spend just a moment here talking about one of my favorites, and that is going to bed early. This is a topic here. I'm at Southern Adventist University. This is a topic that's greatly challenged because the life of a student is late. Would you agree? Most students, they stay up late. And so this is a really hard one. But I'll tell you what, when you decide to go to bed a little bit earlier and get up earlier, it's amazing how different you can feel. And Ellen White says that 1 hour before midnight is worth 2 after midnight. Well, this is a researcher, Dr. Timothy Monk, and this is what he says. Human beings are built to be daytime creatures. It's hardwired into our circuitry. When you deliberately try to shift the sleep-wake cycle, it's like having a symphony with 2 conductors, each one beating out a different time. Your delicate internal rhythms go haywire, and you need to treat sleep as a precious and fragile thing. That's an interesting thought, a precious and fragile thing. Indeed, our sleep can be affected by many things, and we live in the land of the enemy. One of those things is light, right? We get lots of blue light at night that wakes us up and can be a challenge to that. But getting up early has wonderful rewards, and I want to talk to you for a minute about that. It's associated with more regularity in social interaction, eating, physical activity, recreation, and more regularity is associated with better sleep. How does it affect your immune system? Well, subjects deprived of sleep from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. experience nearly a 30% drop in immune function. Subjects deprived of sleep from 10 to 3 a.m. experience nearly a 50% drop in immune function. You see, the difference is significant. I was just in class with one of my students. I'm looking for him. I'm not sure that he's here now. He's heard me talk about these subjects many times. He was here earlier, but he was talking about a study where they found from 9:30 until 10:30 that your brain went into overdrive, and it really made a tremendous difference. That early hour, I was very interested in that study. I haven't been able to research that, but those early hours are very precious and important. They're associated with higher GPAs, higher scores on exams, higher grades, higher academic performance. People that get up early are least likely to be affected by sleep problems. 75% say that they usually get enough sleep. They're in good health. Most get more sleep than they need and rarely feel tired, consider themselves morning people, and less likely to have a medical condition. And that one that is right there, they perceive themselves, they feel like they are in good health, is actually very important. Your perception of yourself, researchers have found, is many times a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I would encourage you, go to bed early and get up early. God will bless you if you do that. That's how he set up our rhythms. Our Creator made us in that way, and you will feel the best if you do that. So what about our environment? This is a nice environment in here. We've got the light in here. Outside is a different environment. Your bedroom, your house are all different environments. And the things within that environment impact your health in a dramatic way. Did you know having pictures that remind you of happy memories helps your health? Because you look at those pictures and you remember that. To remember something that was happy and was a good experience for you actually helps your immune system. It boosts your immune system just to be able to see that. So when we think about the environment, it involves everything that we see, hear, smell, touch, and we taste. And taste, we talk more about in nutrition, but truly, the truly healthy environment is not merely safe, but it's stimulating. An environment that is invigorating, that is fun, and brings joy to you. It's interesting to me, researchers have looked at the colors in nature, and what they found was blue and green are relaxing. Those are two of the primary colors in nature, aren't they? God knew we were going to be stressed, so he gave us lots of blue and green. And the sounds in nature can bless us in a similar way. Here's several different studies that look at nature's impact on us. Nature's benefit for the indoor work environment. Many of you in this room work indoors. So what they found was if they had plants and they had sunshine that was able to come in through the windows, they had lower anxiety levels. They compare them to people that didn't have those. They had increased attention to detail. Just having the sun there can help you focus. They had increased concentration and improved job satisfaction. They were happier to be where they were working because the sun was there and because they had plants. And they had overall general well-being was increased. What about students? How does nature impact students? Researchers found a dramatic increase in student performance when school has abundant daylight. Natural views outside dormitories was associated with a better performance. Here's one that was done on children. They found that they reduced the effects of stress. They had improved test scores, reduced discipline, classroom management problems, increased engagement, enthusiasm for learning, and greater pride and ownership in accomplishments when they had nature around. Nature is very, very health promoting. God put Adam and Eve, our Creator put Adam and Eve in a big building, right? No, he put them in a garden, right? And that garden was wonderful for them. And having part of that now is wonderful for us also. I like this quote, all nature wears one universal grin. So I encourage you to get outside and enjoy that grin. Look at it in a tiny little flower or in a butterfly flitting by, or listen to it in the song of a bird or the wind. God blesses us richly through the natural world. What about physical activity and mental activity? This component actually works with both of those, physical and mental activity. I want to spend a moment on one of them, and that is strength training. When you do strength training, you have increased strength and muscle mass, decreased occurrence of injuries, improved self-esteem and appearance, decreased incidence of lower back pain. How many of you know someone that has lower back pain that's had it for a lot of their life? Absolutely. I tell my students, I encourage them, if you're going to do anything with strength training, strengthen your core so you don't get a back injury. And I encourage them to strengthen their hamstrings so they don't get a knee injury. Those are two injuries that carry with people a long time, and sometimes they have them for life and it bothers them. And so I encourage them to strengthen those areas and also increase the flexibility. Here's a study that looked at strength. The groups were divided into thirds, and based on their strength, they were tested for functional capacity 25 years later. Those that were strong 25 years later had much more ability to get around, to do what they needed to do. And you're a little bit different than most of my students. You're a little bit older than they are, and you can understand and appreciate this maybe better than they can. So I want to ask you to do something. If you'll stand up now for just a moment. All right, very good. Get a little stretch there, move around. Okay, now you can sit back down, and I want you to note, how did you get up just now? Did you help yourself maybe? Or did you sit there and then just rise up with your legs like this? Or were you pushing up on the chair? That's a simple test to look at that. If you are to the point where you're assisting yourself to get up from where you're sitting, I would really encourage you to do some lunges or some squats and increase the strength of your legs, because later in life, it will impact you dramatically. If I had 10 dominoes, I could put them up here and I could illustrate something that's quite, here's the rest of that study, sorry. Dressing, bathing, toiletry, eating, all of those. You can see the strength level was the significant factor 25 years later. So what you want to do is 8 to 10 strength training exercises, 8 to 12 repetitions twice a week. It's not a big commitment, but it does make a big difference. So here are 10 components that we call biomarkers of aging, okay? Basal metabolic rate, your percentage of body fat, aerobic capacity, blood sugar tolerance, cholesterol, blood pressure, bone density, and your body's ability to regulate its internal temperature. All of these things typically change as we age, right? Most of them get worse typically. Well, I want you to notice the first two there, your muscle mass and your strength. If I had 10 dominoes up here and they each represented that, the first two would be muscle mass and strength. And what happens is, if you lose those two, boom, it knocks all those other dominoes down. And it causes all of those other things to happen. So increasing and keeping your strength is very important. So let's now turn to trust. This is really the foundation of creation life. I like to think of it as a metaphor of a tree. And you have the bottom of the tree, and you have the roots of the tree, and that's really our trust in God and what God provides. I'm so sorry. And what God provides for us. So the bottom of that tree, like I said, is the trust component. And that's where we get everything for the rest of that tree to flourish and grow. And that's where all of the interpersonal relationship, outlook, nutrition, all those other things happen only because our Creator blesses us. He is the source of all of those blessings. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. Trust His ways to live. He has the best ways. Science confirms this. My component, actually, I know many of the other people that have been here have been talking about how science on one side or the other. When you look at wellness and health and all those different components, it's amazing how the Bible is confirmed and supported. The principles that God gave us are very strong. They are the best way to go. When we trust God, all of those other areas in our lives grow, like I talked about that metaphor of that tree. The Bible promises that the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. That is a beautiful picture. And there's that metaphor that I was talking about. God will help us grow in all areas of our lives when we trust Him. Trust in God heals. Religiousness is associated with decreased cancer, hypertension, stroke, coronary artery dysfunction, functional impairment, negative health behaviors, and a toll on longevity, especially when we look at God as a loving God. God does love us. He's given us all of these principles of creation life, and we see that through those. And if we believe that He has our best interest in mind, we will have the best health as a result of that. Interpersonal relationships is a very fun component that a lot of people don't associate with your health at all. They don't think of that. They think of diet and exercise, and those are the typical ones. But we were created for connection. God said it's not good for man that he should be alone. And truly, research confirms that. When we are isolated, our health is dramatically affected. Support from others will help us. Look at this study. This is what they found. If you have someone who really cares for you, that you feel close to, that loves you, that wants to help you, someone that you can confide in, the researchers found you may have a 3 to 5 times lower risk of premature death and disease from all causes if you have someone that you can confide in. And I want to encourage you, we all have God. We can confide in God, and God can teach us. If you're lonely right now and you don't have good relationships, God can teach you how to have healthy relationships. One of my favorite components is healthy touch. Those who enjoy regular healthy touch are much better off. Their hearts are stronger, blood pressure is lower, stress levels and overall tension is reduced. This is a beautiful picture of two lovely little twins. These twins were born premature, and they had them in separate incubators. And the doctors were very concerned because one of the twins was really getting bad, and they were concerned they were going to lose her. And so the nurse decided to go against hospital policy, and she took her little sister and put her in with her other sister. And you see what happened. Literally, that little baby put her arm around her sick sister. And guess what happened to all of the things that they were monitoring? They got better. Her sister was back and she could feel her. She was in the womb with her sister and she was gone and she wasn't feeling good. But when she felt that closeness, that love, that touch, that little baby recovered and did better. And that's the power of healthy touch. So what about our outlook? This is, I think, a foundational component. When you have a positive outlook, it affects all of the other one. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. Your actions, they become your habits. And your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. What is in your mind profoundly affects who you are. This is what I was mentioning a moment ago, perception of health. Researchers asked more than 2,800 men and women, for your age, what do you say? Are you in good, excellent, fair, bad health? Those people who perceive their health as excellent were as many as 6 times less likely to die than those who thought their health was poor. Now, that didn't make a difference whether they actually had that health at that moment or not. It was their perception. They may have had numbers that weren't the best as these others, but if they thought they were healthy, they were. Interesting. So we want to look at and be optimistic about what we're doing. An optimist is the human personification of spring. We want to be as optimistic as we can. Dr. Seligman is a researcher that's done much research on optimism. One of my favorite books by him is Learned Optimism. The good news is we can learn to be optimistic even if we're not today. This is what he found. Over and above their talent test scores, we repeatedly find that pessimists drop below their potential and optimists exceed it. I've come to think the notion of potential without the notion of optimism has very little meaning. And optimism affects your health in so many different ways. So I ask you now, what is that right there? What does that say? Opportunity is nowhere. You're right. That is what it says. But what else does it say? Opportunity is now here. Amen. That's how I choose to look at that. Opportunity is here. And if we choose to see the opportunity in every situation, even challenges, we will be more healthy. We'll be better off. So I encourage you to be optimistic. What about nutrition? The last one. Listen to me, says God, and eat what is good, and your soul will delight in the richest fare. Give ear and come to me. Hear me, that your soul may live. Our food is a wonderful medicine for us. And God has blessed us with the bounties of Eden. Research has indeed shown that the bounties of Eden is the best fare for us to eat. It's the best diet for us. It helps us to have vitality, strength, health, avoid diseases. And it's a wonderful thing to enjoy what God has given us. Those who think they have no time for health, to be healthy, eating will sooner or later have time for illness. So we want to take the time to make that good food. I'd like to come close to the end here with a story. There was a gentleman that was interested in losing some weight. He felt like he was about 100 pounds overweight, and he wasn't sure what to do with that. And there was a lady that came to his business, and she was offering seminars. She was a nutritionist, and she was helping people. And this gentleman was not comfortable with going to her seminars. He was embarrassed. He didn't want to do that. And so he went to her individually and on a personal level and said, "Can you help me?" And she said, "Absolutely. I'll be happy to help you." She said, "Okay, what I would like you to do this week is just write down every single thing that you eat. Keep track of it and bring it back to me next week." So he did that. He brought it back and gave it to her, and she looked at it for a few moments and then looked at him and said, okay, now what I'd like you to do is add one fruit to your diet. And he looked at her and said, well, what about that pound of fudge that I eat every day? And she said, well, don't worry about that. Just add that fruit. And so they continued working together on his diet with the principle of adding the good. You know, your plate's only so big, your stomach's only so big, right? Your mind is only so big, your day is only so big. So my challenge to you is fill it with good. Fill it with the best. Fill it with the Creator's lifestyle. Fill it with creation life, and God will bless you abundantly. Thank you.
Do you have any question? Thank you very much, Professor Heather. So it's really powerful. So by the way, actually, High Point is going to have a vegetarian restaurant actually at the Four Corner. It's pretty soon. I think should be in July. So I'm sure we are going to provide the best healthy food. So hopefully we enjoy. And even in college deal, we are going to have this. 95% would be vegan, and so 5% was a little bit. But we just do a little bit by later. I'm sure. And if you like Asian food, that's a good place to go. Okay, very good. Okay, well, I think we talk a lot about health, and so we do have our personal trainer, right? So, and actually Randy's here, so like I will invite him to lead us do a little bit of exercise, give everybody a little pain because I've been sitting there for too long. Can you do that? Okay, Randy. Okay. Randy has been my trainer as well, so I really appreciate that, and he, you see my potential, right? He push hard but I really enjoy it and work it out with him, so I would like to give time, so I just hold the mic for you, and you want to get everybody start working out, right? Okay.
Stand up. No, sit back down. I liked Heather's example a moment ago. I have people that right now I have an 82-year-old man and an 81, his wife. And when they first came to me, I had them had a place to sit down. And I said, okay, just sit down. We need to talk about a couple of things. And so they had a hold of something and they got down. And I said, okay, stand back up. So they grabbed a hold of something and got back up. And I said, did you notice the way you sat down and the way you stood up? And I said, no, do you go to church? They said, yes, we go to church regularly. I said, okay, now what I want you to do is to notice the more elderly people, the way they stand up and sit down. And I said, they probably are going to sit down and stand up the way you do. Then also, I want you to notice the middle-aged people, the way they stand up and sit down, and then also the kids. And so they came back and they said, well, most of them got up and sat down the same way. And so one of the things I've noticed over the years is that one of the exercises is just squatting, is that most people, when they go to sit down, they hold on to something. But aside from that, they only go down a little bit and then they just kind of drop. And so when you get them in an exercise class, and when you go below a few degrees of bending their knee, they're weak because they have never used those muscles. And also, if you have bad knees, one of the best things to do is lunges and squats. And say, well, that hurts my knees. That hurts my... Okay, so the position and the movement that you do helps a lot. So let's just stand up again. Now, what I want you to do is just lift your knees up like you're kind of marching a little bit. Okay, you get a little stimulation there. Okay, now swing your arms like you're marching. Okay, stop just a minute. I see some people, when you walk, when your left foot is forward, your right hand is forward. But some of you were doing right leg up and right hand up and left hand. So let's go back. Make sure that your right hand is up when your left knee is up and the other. It's a natural thing. So just march. Watch the way you're moving. Is your right hand up with your left knee up? opposite, 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 opposite. Okay, now here's another way to correct that. If you're doing this, then here's what I want you to do. Left knee, your right knee up, touch with your left hand. Right knee up, touch the inside of the knee, just the inside of the knee. So you just naturally swing and touch. Then after a while, you don't have to do that. I've had people that I tell people, I say, if you see someone in the mall that's walking like this, give them plenty of room. Okay, now another thing, let's just twist a little bit. Just twist. It doesn't have to be a lot. Soften your knees as you do that. Just soften your knees a little bit. Now, as Heather was mentioning a moment ago about the core, a lot of people think the core is just here, but the core is the cylinder part of the middle part of the body. Core is kind of a new term, about 20 years old, 15 or 20 years old. It used to be called the center of the body or the center body. So anyway, it's just the middle part. You got the lower, middle, and upper. So the core is all the way around, not just in the front. So if you think about doing core exercises, it's not just ab work. It's lower back work too. So, all right, so let's twist again. Okay, twist, 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 twist. Okay, now reach up right and left. Reach up. Come on up. Reach up. Unbutton your jacket, or if you have to, give yourself some loose. Now, put both hands up. Now, what I want you to do is take your ribs. Now, just expand the distance. Increase the distance up. Pull your ribs up. Pull your rib up off the hips. Think about it. Your hips are here. Now, lift your ribs up. Hold them up. Keep your ribs up. Now, I want you to take your shoulders and pull them up off the ribs. Reach a little higher. Come on up. It may be a little uncomfortable, because that's only because you're not used to doing that. So reach up a little higher. Okay, right hand a little bit higher. Come on up, right hand. Now the left hand, match it up. Okay, that's good. All right, now I want you to put your hands just on your neck. I can talk loud and loud. Okay, put your hands here. Bend your knees. Just lean over a little bit. Lean over and back up. Over and back up. Over and back up. Okay, you're using your legs and the muscles in your lower back. Okay, you can have a seat. You're warmed up. Now, one of the things, there's an old saying, the mind can only absorb what your bottom can endure. The mind is only going to be able to absorb what the bottom can endure. So if you're sitting for a really long time, then you're not going to be able to pay as much attention. So anyway, I hope that you will become more mobile. Joints were created to be what? Used. So bend them and twist them, and you'll feel much better. Thank you.
All right.